So we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and welcome to the reaction. Manchester United 2, Aston Villa 1. It was a late show. Manchester United just about managed to get themselves a win today, but absolutely key that we did. So really cannot stress the importance of that win in the context of the season. Look, going into this one, we were 8 points behind Aston Villa. If we lost this match, we would have been 11 points behind, and that could have been the end of it. There would be no way we would catch up Aston Villa by the end of the match. Sorry, by the end of the season. So important that we picked up the win. Really frustrating game for me. And a lot of the things that we've been talking about all season with Erik ten Hag and a lot of the problems that we've identified throughout watching ten Hag in this season have been exposed in today's match. And look, despite the fact it was a brilliant late winner and it really had us out of our seats, make no mistake about it, what I can say is this, is it was lucky. I don't think we played particularly well today. I don't think that today's performance was great. I think Aston Villa were probably the better team, all things considered, and I think Ten Hag had issues in that game that highlight some of the problems we've had all year. Very slow with the substitutions, very slow to make an alteration, didn't deal with the in-game switches and tweaks that Unai Emery made, and it could have cost us. Make no mistake about it. No, I'm very surprised at Aston Villa because the entire way through that match, I was saying on the stream, if Aston Villa go 1-1, I think that they go on to win it, because I just felt like after we got the first goal, momentum was dying. We weren't really looking up for it. We weren't really looking like we were going to go on and get ourselves further goals in this one. Now, thankfully, we managed to fight on to the end. And it was that man again. It was Scott McTominay, a guy who I haven't been particularly kind to at times this season. I know you guys haven't as well. I do think Scott McTominay has a place in a Manchester United team. I do. Do I think he's a starting player? Should he be plan A? No. But I do think what we've seen today from Scott McTominay is the exact kind of role that he should be utilised in. It's the exact kind of role that we need him to be in. It's the exact kind of positioning we need from Scott McTominay. We need him to be the super sub, the guy we put on with legs, physicality, strength, and you put him on late in a match and he goes and does what he did today. He picked up a really good run into the box. Very happy with that. Brilliant ball to find him from Diogo Dalot. I have criticised Dalot's crossing at times this season. I have criticised some of his overall performances, but I think he did really well today. I think he dealt with the issues posed by Aston Villa really well today. Not to say that we weren't overexposed in the first half on that right flank, but individually, Dalot had a good match. And it's not his fault that he found himself in a constant position of being overloaded in that area. Between him and Varane, they were dealing with 2 or 3 Aston Villa players almost every time they came forward. Vic Gosens Scott is a great impact sub. I would agree with that. He is an impact sub, and I think that is the best role we can get for him in this team. He's someone who can bring goals. He's someone who can come on and give us the sort of physicality that we lack. Big T says McTominay man of the match. Where does he want his statue? Honestly, look, I'm very happy with Scott McTominay today. I'm very happy with Manchester United getting that result. I said before the match, look, 11 points. I don't think we can surmount that. I don't think we can come back from that. But at this point, we find ourselves at a fantastic position of being 5 points off Aston Villa. It's not fantastic, but it's the best possible outcome to today. And beating Villa home and away, absolutely key. That is, in terms of our actual numbers, the first time we have went away to a team in the top half of the league under Erik ten Hag and won. So that's absolutely key that we did that. And that's absolutely key that we managed to pick up that result today. Was it 100% deserved? I don't think so. I think that Villa were probably the better team for most of the match. Onana had a very solid game today, but I'm very happy with that result. No one can take that result from Manchester United, not even some of the delayed decision-making by Erik ten Hag, shall we say. But I'm happy with that. It was a good goal. Manu made the forward run, held the ball up nicely, led it off to Dalot. Fantastic cross. And really good header from McTominay. Simple goals, and sometimes it doesn't have to be complicated either. Man, what position did McTominay come on to play at? He kind of came on and played almost as a second striker, kind of number 10 position, Bruno sort of went out wide. Garnacho came onto the left hand side, and then we had, of course, Scott McTominay through the middle in that number 10 position. And it was a nice goal. I think looking back on it, it was a goal in which the defenders were occupied for Aston Villa. Now I think Diego Carlos had a good match for them. I think Longley was pretty solid alongside him, but Hojlund did split. Hojlund took one centre back, he took another one, and that's how we ended up with the goal. Two strikers in that area, two attacking players making different runs, one front post, one back post, and that gets you the goal. So much easier when you have that second man in there, really, you do. Bourne says that's why I would keep Dalot over Wan-Bissaka. I think Dalot gives you interesting tactical tweaks that maybe you don't always seem to get with other players. Vic says, what's my take on Rashford the last few games? My take on Rashford would be, I think he's actually played pretty well compared to the rest of his season in the last couple of matches. I don't think he's been brilliant in the last few, but I do think it's probably the best run of form he's had in this campaign. I think he still does need to shape up, and I think he needs to be more productive. There was moments today where he really overran the ball, and what frustrates me is Marcus Rashford is 26 years old, but he's making the same mistakes that 19-year-old Alejandro Garnacho makes in terms of overrunning with it, maybe not finding the pass quick enough, or shaping up his body wrong. So some of that is concerning to me. I'm very happy with a lot of the players today. I think both our centre backs were very good. Harry Maguire, especially. I thought Varane very good match. Dalot had a solid match. Luke Shaw was good in the first half until he went off. I think Lindelof at left back. I could have done without ever seeing it done again going into this match. Now that I've seen it again, I really don't want to see Victor Lindelof at left back ever. Please, like it did almost cost us that match because he couldn't deal with Leon Bailey or Diaby in terms of their speed, in terms of the physicality of it, and he just looked off it. Bath Time says, what a McRobbery. What a McRobbery is right, Bath Time. Thank you very much for joining in, man. I think you would have really enjoyed some of my halftime breakdown about the overloading of our channels. I know I can't find myself going on a tirade about how exposed that right hand side was. I might go clip it back actually because I actually think I was talking some sense for once. But yeah, look, I'm happy with that one. There's positives to take from it. The positives being a good performance from the centre backs. Andre Onana, I thought, had a good match as well, making important saves, some very good saves, and in terms of what he was doing with his sweeping work as well, coming off his line, pretty solid. You're never going to get orthodox goalkeeping from Andre Onana. That's just not going to happen with the guy. But it was effective. It was effective today, and I was happy enough with his performance. It's good to see Hojlund score again. He looks confident. I think more service, you get more goals from the guy. It's not too much of a revelation, but he has got 5 goals in the last 5 matches, and that comes from 8 shots on target. So 5 goals from 8 on target is a very, very good ratio for any striker. It's a kind of ratio you can't keep up in terms of that overperformance of your expected goals, but it is also a sign that give this guy a chance to get a shot in and goal in a decent area, he'll probably find the back of the net more often than not. So I'm happy with that performance. I think we would have had a more successful second half, really, if we didn't have Manu and Casemiro both on yellow cards. And I think that for me was a big frustration. I think the referee did lose control of the match, and he kind of was dishing out cards left, right, and centre for long periods of it. Casemiro picking up a card for Matty Cash diving, Kobe Manu. Yeah, look, it was a cynical enough foul, but he did make a legitimate attempt at the ball, and it was his first foul of the match, but it wasn't enough for the referee not to book him. I think Villa got some pretty soft cards as well, so not a brilliant match for the officiating. But ultimately, it came down to what we had been talking about all week as well, and what we had been discussing this week, and it was a potentially viable way for us to get goals in this match, and we didn't make the most of it during this, was exploiting the offside trap played by Aston Villa. They play I think it's either the highest or the second highest line in the Premier League. The space is there to hit, but we were getting caught offside far too often. If we held the run, we could have had a lot more luck with it. I think in the second half, we held the run better, but the balls were not tempered to deal with that the run would be and the line will be held more. And that's why you saw Martinez get a lot of sweeping actions in that second half. But look, it was an interesting match. I think Ten Hag has issues and areas where he can do a lot better, and I think his reaction to things happening in game is always a massive concern. He didn't make a sub until we had lost the lead. I think it was clear and obvious, really, that it was going to happen, and we weren't proactive with it. Everything does tend to be reactive as well. Vic says blue cards has been applicable. Would there have been many on the temporary bench? There probably would have been. That's my concern as well. And I think Ange made a really good point about it midweek. All the other sports are making a concerted effort to try to streamline the process of the game, whereas in football we want to try clutter it up more breaks, more stoppages. And he's absolutely right. Like if you get a player put onto the bench for 10 minutes in the match, then your team is just going to not attack. They're just going to hold the ball and run down the 10 minutes. That's what happens in most sports when that happens. So I think there is better things we can do. We don't want to get talking about blue cards. Chatsport said, regarding Rashford, when Mbappe leaves PSG, we'll look at Rashford. I mean, maybe. They've been interested in the past. I don't know if the interest is as strong as it is now, but certainly, like, there was interest in Marcus Rashford from Paris Saint-Germain at one point. Whether or not that ever materializes into a move or anything else, I don't know if that's going to be how it goes down, but it's going to be an interesting one to find out regardless. But look, certainly a very, very interesting game today for Manchester United. I think the most important thing is picking up the win, picking up that result. That is so important in terms of what we're doing in the rest of the season. And look, Aston Villa will be playing European football. I think Tottenham Hotspur might be still in Europa League, possibly. Let me just double check that because I don't want to give you guys misleading information. But pretty much, except for FA Cup weeks, we will have a week between matches. It should mean that we're fitter. It should mean that we're more ready for these big games. But there are negatives. There are negatives coming out of today. The big one, losing Luke Shaw, losing him and Martinez in consecutive match weeks is really frustrating for Manchester United. And they're two players so important. Two players so important in how we actually play and how we've managed to improve in the most recent weeks. If anyone could tell me, does are Tottenham Hotspur still in the Europa League? I'm not too sure if they're in it. No, they're not. Sorry, they're not. I do apologise. Tottenham Hotspur are not in European competition this season. Aston Villa are. That's where I'm getting the confusion from. So there's an opportunity for us to rein these teams in. There's an opportunity for us to go on and hopefully build up point after point and win after win. I think, look, some important turning points for today. I think the big one, getting the result, 5 points off top four now, and you would feel like we're in a decent run of form. We've got a lot of difficult matches coming up. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that for you guys. We have a lot of difficult matches. Everybody's saying Spurs are not in Europa League. That's all right, guys. I don't know why I thought they were in Europa League this year. Maybe no, actually, Brighton's the extra team. I apologize. That's where it's coming from. I think Villa might be in Europa. But look, guys, the next couple of matches really important. Going away to Luton Town will not be a pushover. Luton have been a very difficult team for everybody to play. We just about scraped a win against Luton Town at Old Trafford. They'll be fancying themselves next Sunday. Then after that, we play Fulham at home. That should be a win. We absolutely should be going after them in that match. Fulham are an interesting team. They seem to go through weeks and little spells of being very good attack-wise, and then having weeks where they're not particularly good. And then who do we play after that? Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. We should be aiming to win that match. City at the Etihad, that's going to be a killer match. That's going to be really difficult. Steph says, Shane McTominay missed that late header against Spurs. Honestly, the Spurs match is so frustrating because we could have won that one. And realistically, I don't think it's too unrealistic at all to say we could have beat Spurs at in like the second match of the season as well. We could have gone on and won that match. Lungan says, a win is great, but watching us play is stressful and gives me anxiety. Honestly, I completely emphasize, they cause us a lot of problems, a lot of anxiety. They probably age us a lot and would turn us to vices considered not healthy, uh, by most. It's not good to be under chronic stress. This team do love to put us through the ringer, but it sure is good when they win as well. It really is. You can't there's no denying that one, guys. Drop a like on the video as well. I think we're up to 24 likes, guys. Can we get up to 30? And if you haven't already, make sure hit that sub button as well. Really, really does help the channel out. And it's good. It's good. It helps us bring out more of these shows. It gives us a bigger reach, and it means that we are able to do much more of this. And this is what we want to do. What have I got down below on these polls as well? Pretty split in terms of man of the match, but surprisingly, more people are going for Harry Maguire than any other player. I think it's good to have a sense of that, and I think it's good to have a sense of togetherness on the pitch as well. And it's good that we have several players who could have been man of the match. It shows we're not overly reliant on one player today. That's a positive for me. And look, I'm really, really happy that we walked out of there with the win. And it's all about what happens next. Look, beating Villa today was brilliant. Beating West Ham last week, brilliant. Beating Wolves later on, brilliant. But now it's about Luton Town next Sunday. That's absolutely key. That's the most important match. It's always the next one. And that's what we've got to do. Keep going. Keep rolling on. And look, if I have a look at who Aston Villa have in the next couple of matches, there's potential for them to drop points as well. Villa, of course, play Fulham, they play Forest, they play Tottenham, West Ham, Man City, and Arsenal in the next couple of matches. They could drop points there. We could find them that way. Man Utd, we were dead food after scoring the first goal. See, that's my concern. That's something I'm not happy about, was the fact that we did concede that goal. Sorry, we scored the goal, we took the foot off the gas. We've got to keep going for these ones. Really got to kill matches. And look, Villa adapted, we didn't. Ultimately, it took some alterations to our squad and our starting 11 to actually get some subs onto the pitch. It gave us different options, and it gave us the route to success and the road to victory. And thankfully, we managed to find that today. Guys, we got 24 likes on the stream. We got 30-something votes as well. If we can get some more likes as well, would be really appreciated. And Vic says, seems we have a problem switching off. Yes. I've been saying this for a long, long time. The most frustrating matches that I've had to do watch-alongs for were all the Champions League matches this season. You look at Galatasaray, we led twice in that match. You look at Copenhagen, we were 2-0 up. You look at the Bayern Munich match, we found ourselves scoring 3 goals in the Allianz Arena and not winning a match. Those are the big matches and the frustrating matches for me that really, really have cost us this season. And there's been so many times where we end up switching off immediately after scoring a goal, and we have to avoid that in future. Steph says, just think how good we would be if Bruno and Rashford turned up. Yeah, if your best I don't think they've had disaster classes in today's match. I think they're okay, nothing spectacular. I think Bruno's been frustrating me for a couple of weeks, and I might have a little bit of an in-depth look into his changing position, because for me, the further up the pitch Bruno Fernandes is, the better. I think that's where he's best. I think that's where you get the most out of him. And that's what we've got to be doing moving forward. That's absolutely vital on that one. If we can get Bruno further up the pitch, connect that forward line even better, then I really think that we have some positives to build upon there, and some really big pluses that we can continue to grow towards. And it is going to be difficult for us to get there. It is going to be difficult for Ten Hag to tear up the system and try to do that alteration. But to me, Bruno ahead, but Manu closer to Casemiro, that gives you more legs, gives you more control, puts Bruno further up the pitch, more creativity. It makes sense in my head. I don't know why we do it or persist on it. Lincoln says, does anyone know if Malacia is still alive? Do we have left back if Shaw is out? We don't. Malacia has been out for 205 days. Now, the latest rumour floating about on the old Bird app, on the old Twitter, was that Tyrell Malacia was in a very similar position to Lisandro Martinez, in that he got the initial surgery done, but the surgery wasn't done correctly, or it required a second surgery, and that's why he's out for so long, because he has been out for something like 200 plus days at this point. He's been out really from the beginning of pre-season last year. I think he went out in June. So you're looking close to a year-long injury with Malacia, but we don't have a left back. Fernandez has gone on loan. Sergio Reguilon has been sent back to Tottenham and he's been loaned out to Brentford. Luke Shaw might be injured, so we're down once again to either Dalot at left back and Wan-Bissaka at right back, or playing Victor Lindelof there. That's not what we want to see. And I will have a look out to see if there's any latest quotes from Ten Hag on Luke Shaw, because that's obviously a developing situation, one we want to keep an eye out on, and one we'll be looking at regardless. Let me quickly pull up some of the quotes mixed from Eric Ten Hag and the rest of the Manchester United players, of course. Let me check. I'll check these guys. So Eric Ten Hag on Luke Shaw. This is kind of important for us. So Luke Shaw had some complaints. We can't take any risk with him because he has had injuries in the past. We'll have to see how it goes in the next few days. It's not an advantage to lose him. He knows his role, and it's also in my footballing philosophy to have left footers at centre back and at left back, but we will have to make compromises if possible, and it's definitely not to our advantage. So potentially we might see that. Rajat goes What? Are we talking about Maguire? Maguire had a pretty good match today, man. Honestly, happy with Harry Maguire's contribution today as well. I have Ten Hag as well. Never talking about negative situations. I'm always positive. We have to catch up, but we are not there yet. We are in a good mood, and we have to keep the process going. But there's so much space for improvement. There's many games left to play. We will see what happens in regards to that. So there's the news, guys. Luke Shaw was took off kind of as a precaution, but he did have some complaints. Now, what happens with that in the next couple of days is going to be key, because we don't want to see Victor Lindelof at left back. We don't want to see Dalot having to move across either. Garnacho Stan says like, comment, and subscribe, and a big tick. Thank you very much, Garnacho Stan. If that's the actual Garnacho, thought you had a pretty good game today. Bourne says Bruno plays like that sometimes. He does. Rajat goes McCrap getting her goal. Honestly, McTominay's got many nicknames, but today he is Mr. Match Winner. I guess that's key in this one. Look, we all know my thoughts on McTominay. I think we got a player there who is very good as a sub, very good to come on if we need him, but he's not the guy to be starting every week for me. And I don't think he ever will be. 25 likes is really good as well. Thanks so much for that one, guys. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, look, it's been a pretty eventful day, a pretty eventful match, and I really had a lot of concerns during that match. I thought those points were going to lose it. I thought Villa getting that goal would be an absolute dagger to us, but fortunately we managed to fight our way through it. Steph says, can we call back Fernandez? I guess we can. I mean, I think the expectation is that Benfica are going to sign the guy permanently, but we're going to have to find out what happens with that one. Bourne says Lindelof is a liability, not even Carabao Cup level. He's not a left back, he's not a right back. For me, Victor Lindelof, I don't know if he's good enough for United. I would like to sell him in the summer. And I think we can get someone better, to be honest with you. I just think he's slow and he's not particularly good in the air, and it's not really what we want or need from Manchester United centre backs. Regardless, Harry Maguire is winning the man of the match poll. Benfica probably buy him, says Rajat. Yeah, they'll probably do buy him. I think that's most realistic. I would be surprised if they don't take it. Guys, if we can, just as Garnacho Stan was saying, hit the like button as well, and make sure to hit the sub button as well. Really, really, really helps out the channel. And yeah, look, it's been a good day for Manchester United. It's been a good day for the channel. It's been a good day for McTominay and for Rasmus Hojlund. And Chatsport said Fernandez isn't getting game time. Yeah, look, he needs to grow into it. I think that's what Benfica were saying, but ultimately he does still need more game time and more chances to improve. Vic is saying, Grisho, keep up the great work. Watching from Mauritius. Thank you very much, Vic. Really appreciate that. And Mauritius, absolutely incredible as well. Probably a lot nicer than old Ireland over here. Look, guys, I think we're going to leave the stream here. Thanks so much for joining in. Please hit the like button, sub as well if you can, and I'll catch everybody in the next one. Been a really good day, been a really good win, and hopefully we're going to build upon it next week against Luton Town. Look, guys, should be live again tomorrow about 7 p.m. UK time. If you can tune in for that, would be really appreciated. And thanks so much. We'll catch everyone in the next one.